Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Okay, we're continuing to try this video thing, and rather than doing PowerPoint, if you're looking today, I'm just going to show you my notes. This is what I'm making the program for. Now, before I go into some of the refresher here, let me tell you this is where I think we need to go with this. Right now, the most important thing that's going on out there is the death of the dollar. Essentially, what we're looking at is the music has stopped. I'll say it again. The music has stopped. So the question is, do we understand that the music has stopped? And are we prepared? So, what do we mean that the music has stopped? Well, in musical chairs, when the music stops, you're supposed to jump into the chair. But unfortunately, there's always one chair less than what is needed. So someone is the last man standing. You don't want to be the last man standing here. So when the people begin to realize that the music has stopped, I think what we're about to see is the death of the dollar. Because as of August 24th, which is going to be one of the primary things we're talking about today, Saudi Arabia has signed an agreement with Russia. Oh, by the way, before I get into that, I need to talk about this this Solemn September Assembly. It was absolutely awesome. I'm still trying to. I probably look tired. I'm still trying to wake up. I mean, I'm just exhausted, and I should have made a program last night, which was Wednesday night, and I didn't. So I'm behind in programs, and I'm tired. But let me tell you about the Solemn September Assembly. So we were really thinking that we should probably have around 300 people. We had 206 actually sign up, and unfortunately we had some people not show up. So we had about 206 sign up, but there's a lot of people that didn't show up, didn't reserve enough room, so now it's called the Hilton. Hit our credit card for, I don't know, like $1,900 or something like that. But, if you want to help, that's great, but I'm not concerned about that. I think it was an awesome, awesome meeting. I saw people come in, and I mean, it was like they were loaded for bear. They could not wait to get up there and pray. It was like, all right, I've got my turn to get up here and kick the devil, because they knew that we've got probably at any one time, there's anywhere from 100 to 300 people online, and most of the time we had 100 to 150 people in the room. But I also understand that the total views for the weekend were approaching between 25 and 30,000 views. So there were a lot of people watching. And I think it's a lot of really powerful prayer when you can get up behind a microphone, not just in front of 100, 150 people, and also not just the 100 to 300 people online, but they're all praying, they're all agreeing with you in prayer, so it gives you a lot of power and a lot of authority. And I saw little old ladies get up there. I remember this one little old lady walked up, and I got up and I said, the devil starts shaking every time he sees this woman walk up, because he knows that she is going to rattle his cage. Because, the Bible says that Jesus gave his disciples all power over all the serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, nothing by any means shall hurt us. And so we have the authority through the blood and power of Jesus Christ to kick the devil around, specifically to kick him out of America. And that's exactly what we did. For 48 hours, we fasted and we prayed. And I asked Pastor Massey, I said, just how important do you think the fasting was? He said, extremely important, because it put weight, it put power behind our prayers. In other words, these weren't just normal Christian prayers. These were prayed in agreement, several hundred people praying in agreement, plus the fasting behind it. Remember, the Bible says these come not out but by prayer and fasting. So fasting is very powerful, very important. And I might add, I didn't ask everybody, but I think I'm probably speaking for everybody. I know that I not once, matter of fact, not once, even now, ever, did I feel any kind of a hunger pain. Not at all. I mean, it was like, meh. You'd have thought I just had a nice full meal the whole time. Not a problem. That to me is a sign that God is accepting our prayers. I saw people, it's like, yes. I mean, they finally got to kick the devil around. They finally got to pray in a way that they knew their prayers were going to be answered. I saw a lot of powerful prayers, a lot of good hearts. And sad to say, but my guess is, I don't know for certain, but my guess is that probably this could not take place in your average church. Or I would even say it probably couldn't take place in some of America's largest churches, simply because most of the people in the churches are babies. They don't know their Bible. They certainly don't know their Bible prophecy, and they really don't know the current events. So their prayers would be about 30 seconds. And I saw people get up there and pray. I mean, and they'd hit the 5-minute timer every time, and then they'd go right back to the back of the line and get up and just pray. There was some of the people prayed 15, 20 times. 15, 20 times, 5-minute limit each time. I saw a lot of peace and happiness. There was an excitement in the room. I mean, people really loved to be there. And when the meeting was all over, I walked around. I was asking people. I was asking staff. I was asking everybody I saw. So what'd you think of the meeting? It was a great meeting. Great meeting. Really loved it. Really, I mean, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm for the meeting. I would say that it was very successful. I remarked to Pastor Massey, of course, we went out to eat afterwards, as we're walking out of the restaurant, I said, you know, it's interesting, whether it's a sevenfold miracle crusade or whether it's a School of the Watchman or School of the Prophets or whatever the meeting is, or in this case, Solemn September Assembly or Solemn October Assembly like we did last year too, it seems like it's always a good meeting. We always walk out and everybody's feeling good, very excited. He said, yeah, that's true. And of course, it's not always that true with every meeting, but I'm very pleased with it. Okay, so back to what we're talking about. Okay, let's keep on going here. Okay, so we're talking about the death of the dollar. The music has stopped, and you should be looking for a chair. The death of the dollar is now in a death spiral ever since Saudi Arabia hired the Russians to protect them August 24th. Also, there is a food shortage on the way. I have 9 different dreams from people all saying that there's going to be a food shortage, and they've all come in the last 9 months, just in 2021. So before I go any further, I guess I should say, if you're needing some kind of storage food, then I would send you to heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN. If you're needing something to protect your computer chips in your car or your house, then I'll send you to empshield.com, promo code PROPHECY. And if you're needing some kind of gold or silver, then we're going to send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com, just mention Prophecy Club. Because, you know, when the dollar dies, you're still going to want to make your house payment, still going to make your car payment and things like that. And having some gold or silver on hand is going to be very powerful. That may be the only thing that gets you to keep your house or car. Who knows? All right, so I want to talk about the Petro dollars today. I looked this up, and I found it, a very good article on Investopedia.com, August 2, 2021. After the collapse of the Bretton Woods gold standard in the early 1970s, the United States struck a deal with Saudi Arabia to standardize oil prices in dollar terms. Through this deal, the petrodollar system was born. The petrodollar system evaluated the U.S. dollar to the world's reserve currency, and through this status, the United States enjoys persistent trade deficits and is a global economic hegemony. The petrodollar system also provides U.S. financial markets with a source of liquidity and foreign capital inflows through petrodollar, quote, recycling. Now, here's the history of the petrodollar. Faced with mounting inflation, debt from the Vietnam War, extravagant domestic spending habits, and a persistent balance of payments deficit, the Nixon administration decided in August 1971 to suddenly end the convertibility of the U.S. dollars into gold. In other words, they removed the the gold standard. In the wake of this Nixon shock, the world saw the end of the gold era and a free fall of the U.S. dollar amidst soaring inflation. Through bilateral agreements in the Saudi Arabia beginning in 1974, the U.S. managed to influence members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, to standardize the sale of oil in dollars. In return for invoicing oil in dollar denomination, Saudi Arabia and other Arab states secured U.S. influence with U.S. military assistance, or basically we would decide that we would protect them. Now let's go to the benefits of the petrodollar. Since the most sought-after commodity in the world is oil, and it is priced in U.S. dollars, the petrodollar helped elevate the greenback as the world's dominant currency, meaning the world's reserve currency, the primary currency of the world. Okay? With this high status, the U.S. dollar enjoys what some have asserted to be the privilege of perpetually financing its current account deficit by issuing dollar-denominated assets at very low rates of interest, as well as becoming a global economic hegemony. For instance, countries like China, who hold vast quantities of U.S. debt, have voiced their concerns in the past about the possible dilutive effects to their asset holdings should the dollar depreciate. Now let's talk about dollar recycling. The petrodollar system also creates surpluses of U.S. dollar reserves for oil-producing countries, which need to be recycled. These surplus dollars are spent on domestic consumption, lent abroad to meet the balance of payments in developing nations, or invested in U.S. dollar-denominated assets. This last point is the most beneficial for the U.S. dollar because petrodollars make their way back to the United States. These recycled dollars are used to purchase U.S. securities, such as Treasury bills, which creates liquidity in the financial markets, keeps interest rates low, promotes non-inflationary growth. Moreover, the OPEC states can avoid currency risks of conversion and invest in secure U.S. investments. Now, let me jump to the recent article that I already read once, but let me make a point here. August 24th, 2021, HalTurnerRadioShow.com headline. This is my summarized version, by the way. The Black Swan event has taken place. The destruction imminent. He says on Tuesday, August 24, 2021, Saudi and Russian officials announced the signing of military cooperation pact between the two countries. As a result of the Saudis doing this, all oil sales to, from, and between every other country in the world is done in U.S. dollars. In order for countries to buy oil, they have to exchange their currency for U.S. dollars, then pay for that oil in U.S. dollars. Conversely, if countries sell oil, they receive U.S. dollars for that sale. This system has for decades caused literally every country in the world to hold U.S. dollars in their currency reserves. So they had to have big piles of dollars, to put it the way we talk, okay? Trillions of dollars are presently held all over the planet so countries can engage in oil transactions. Now, Saudi Arabia has signed a defense pact with Russia. So, Russia can now protect the Saudis just as well as the USA did. And Russia won't walk away from the people they protect like the USA did just in Afghanistan. So, the Saudis no longer need to sell their oil in U.S. dollars. In other words, the music has stopped. It's just that most people don't know that the music has stopped. Even if they knew the music stopped, they would understand. But since we have the prophecies, we understand what this means. So he says trillions of those dollars about to start coming home. It will be a literal tidal wave of cash coming back. They'll discover no one needs dollars anymore. What happens here? Hyperinflation. He says no, not hyperinflation, mega, uber hyperinflation. Everyone around the world is about to want out of U.S. dollars. The value of our currency is about to begin plummeting. Saudi Arabia, in one move, smashed our currency into what will quickly become a death spiral. As more and more countries cash out and the rest of the planet starts seeing the value of our money plummeting, they'll all flood us with dollars. It will be a tsunami of inbound cash. Now, the question is whether it's going to go down slowly over the process of several months, maybe even a year, or whether it falls almost overnight. Well, Maurice Sklar was told, I can look it up, but like back in 2005, he said that he saw in this vision that people lost their wealth almost overnight. And then, of course, what one of the other prophecies, a dream from David Phillips, said that they were basically told stand up, walk out of the restaurant right now. In other words, like an immediate collapse. So perhaps it's going to be very quickly. So going on back to the article, he says, I can, however, guess what's coming. Simply put, everything denominated in dollars is going to be quickly becoming utterly worthless. Your bank accounts, IRAs, 401ks, stock portfolios, all of them. Now, I probably should give you a disclaimer because we are talking prophecy here, okay? This is not a financial program. I'm not giving you financial advice. Don't ask me for financial advice. But what we can say is what the prophecies say. So now let's jump to Pastor Shane Warren. I've covered this many times, but let me point out something perhaps you haven't seen. So back in actually 2010, he had the vision. He spoke to Prophecy Club July 10, 2012, made a DVD called Storm, Judgment, and Revival. In this, the summarized version is, he saw a man just pick up a fistful of dollars and said they're worthless. It's raining dollars. They're like leaves blowing in the wind. So he saw worthless dollars. That's the first part. Then the vision changed, and he saw that there was an earthquake in the New Madrid fault. And he heard the voice behind him speaking, which is the way God's voice sounds. They've divided my land. Now I will divide their land. So if this is close, we can watch for Israel probably be forced to give the Palestinians a state. And I read an article this morning that Biden is saying he wants to now move the capital back out of, Tel Aviv, or anyway, wants to move it back, wants to undo what Trump did. I didn't read the article, obviously, but nevertheless, I'll check it out. Then the scene changed again. He's taken to a room in the Middle East, and he saw India, Syria, Indonesia, Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, Russia, and China discussing how to devalue the dollar by buying oil in another currency. Boom. As of August 24th, since the Russians are now protecting the Saudis, now people can begin to start buying oil in something other than dollars. So all of a sudden, boom, that is here. So what we're looking at is we're seeing the beginning of the fall of the dollar. So the first thing he saw was that dollar becomes worthless as leaves blowing in the wind, and then he was told how, and that is when the Saudis stop selling, or the world stops trading oil in dollars. Then he saw what the cause of that was. It would cause the devaluing of our dollar caused major rioting in the streets. I saw silver, not gold, become drastically increasing in value. Riots break out in the major cities, rioting in the streets, signs that say, give us our entitlements. Give us our entitlements. Well, what's an entitlement? That's when someone is expecting a check from the government, but they don't get it. Well, as of September 1, those have been cut off. Now let's go down to the actual article here. Oh, here, let me mention one more thing. And then the next thing he saw is the church arises and great miracles take place. Now let's go to the article talking about Saudi Arabia. And by the way, this is in many different places out there, various websites. But this particular one, the headline says, Saudi Arabia and Russia signed a deal to develop joint military cooperation. Saudi Arabia and Russia on Monday, August 24th, signed an agreement to develop joint military cooperation between the two countries, according to the kingdom's deputy defense minister. I'll skip down. And he basically says that we're going to do this to strengthen the military defense and cooperation between our two countries. Then if you go to citizentruth.org, the headline says, the secret deal that formed the U.S. and Saudi Arabia special relationship. He said at a 4-day layover in the coastal city of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Simon's goal was to neutralize crude oil as an economic weapon and find a way to persuade the hostile kingdom to finance America's widening deficit with its newfound dollar wealth. This is how the petrodollar got started. According to Parsky, Nixon made clear that there was no coming back empty-handed. America's financial state was in peril, not to mention the Soviet Union could seize the opportunity that the Arab state if the U.S. failed to. So he understood that the appeal of the U.S. government was to sell the Saudis on the idea that America was the safest place to invest their petrodollars. His expertise helped the administration concoct an unprecedented do-or-die plan that would come to influence just about every aspect of U.S.-Saudi relations for the next 4 decades, and that's when they struck the deal back in 1971 to have all oil sales in dollar denominations. Okay, so what are we talking about? The first thing is, now that the Saudis are having the Russians protect them, we can expect to see the dollar begin to fall. Question is how quick it's going to fall. I had somebody walk up to me at the meeting this last weekend and yesterday, and he says, "Tell me the truth." He said, "How long do you think we have before the dollar falls?" I said, "Well, I really don't know." I said, "I'm not a financial guy." I said, "But we've got two prophecies that say that most people lose their wealth very quickly. One's overnight. I mean, it's apparently a very quick fall. But I don't know. We'll see how. I hope that very quickly is 3 or 4 months. And I'd like to think that we have like a year or two, but we might not. And when that dollar starts falling, that's when it's going to be a good idea for you to have food and water and maybe some silver and some, the words, back to what I've been saying. Ask yourself, if you cannot leave the four walls of your home for a year, are you prepared? Can you survive there? Charles Turner, April 2021. This is the summarized version of a vision he had. He says, "In this vision, I was in a room and I heard a loud rumbling under my feet and rolling behind me. On the wall in front of me began to appear numbers being calculated like algebra and geometry. I saw cash dropping into an abyss type of place." That sounds kind of like what Dana Coverstone was showing. He saw a vacuum cleaner sucking the cash out of the banks. Okay, he said there was no end to it. Cash was disappearing into the darkness. I saw dollars begin to start fading on each side of the point where you couldn't see the numbers on the bills, but the numbers continued to fade away, meaning the dollar will begin to fade away. I was made to know that the dollar is going away in a cashless system of digital numbers. Well, we've been talking about that. That's quantum financial system. Digital numbers was going to be our new medium of exchange. And I heard the Lord say the word digital. I said, "Oh my God, the cash is fading away. The digital is coming as the new domain." Then I looked to my left and I saw vaccinations. I'm going to skip that because we already covered that. He says, "Then I heard the word totalitarian government. I was immediately in the center of the United States, and I could see all across the land of all four sides of the United States. And I said to the Lord, we're being squeezed in. And I saw the church nationwide and globally being bitten, like there was something coming from the backside, from the coastline, biting the church. It was eating, taking bites out of the church, and the church was getting smaller and smaller. And the church began to claw and pull apart and become separated. It would be eaten. All four sides were closing in. Then the church screamed and yelled out to God and said, Lord, help us. Help us. We're being closed in on from all sides. And I heard the Lord saying, 2020. Suddenly, a spiral wall encircled the entire United States, and it came up as a wall. I was made to know that it was seduction. Then I heard the Lord say, the spirit of seduction came upon America in March of 2020. Well, what was that? That would be the V came upon us, right? My people are being seduced. Warn them that the time is short. It's shorter than everyone thinks. These things must come to pass, but fear not. I'm coming. I think what it's trying to say, let me back up to the whole point of the broadcast here. I think what it's trying to say is that several things are about to hit us. The music has stopped. The dollar is now in a death spiral. It's not coming. It's here. Also, the checks from the government are stopped. It's not going to be stopped. They have been stopped as of September 1. The food shortage is on the way. There's several reports that's not coming. That's already stopped. It's just that, well, like one guy, the guy that said to me yesterday, how long do you think we have? And this is what I said. It's like a train track. If you put your ear right down against, if you've ever done that, and I have, if you ever put your ear right down against the train track, you can tell a train is coming for a long way off because that vibration goes right down those tracks. And I said, to the people that are prophecy students, that's kind of like them putting the ear right against the railroad track. They can hear that locomotive, that train coming from a long way off. Long time before they can see it. They can hear it. But then the average person just walking along the side of the railroad tracks without his ear against the tracks is like the common person out there that's just walking through life. Yes, the train is coming, but they can't see it. They can't hear it. They can't feel it. They don't know it's coming yet. But then the people that don't want to hear, that are asleep, they're probably not even Christians, is like someone walking, half a mile away from the railroad tracks. They don't even know the tracks are there. They don't even know that there could be a train coming. So it's kind of like the prophecy student has its ear to the railroad tracks. We can tell that the train is coming from a long way off, whereas the average person is just walking the tracks. They don't know. They're not really listening for the train. They don't know that a train is coming or not. And then probably most of the people are the ones that are half a mile away. They don't even know that the railroad tracks are there. They don't even know that a train runs down there. Or they don't know that we're in the end times. They don't know that the mark of the beast is coming. They don't know there's going to be an Antichrist. They don't know that there's going to be a day that he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on the right hand or in the forehead. They don't know, and frankly, they don't really care. Okay, so what do? I think the real answer, what I have done, I don't know, for probably actually several months now, I keep walking around, Lord, speak to my heart. Show me what I need to do to get prepared. And I have made some preparations. And I would, by the way, recommend that you consider making some preparations too. Go back to, you can only go without air for 3 minutes, so you need to have something to filter air. You can only go without water for 3 days, so you need to have water and a device to filter it. You can only go without food for about 30 days, so you and your family need to have food. Ask yourself what you need to do. More importantly, ask the Lord what you need to do to get prepared and start making steps to get prepared. And, of course, I'll say again, if you do need some kind of storage food, heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN, helps your Prophecy Club. If you need something to protect your computer chips, we'll send you to empshield.com, promo code prophecy. And if you need some kind of precious metals, we'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com and just mention Prophecy Club when you call. In 2017, God helped me to memorize the book of Revelation and gave me 30 revelations, 2 visions, and an audible voice. God showed me the word first fruits is a secret door linking the feasts of Leviticus to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the end-time prophecies of Revelation can be placed in correct chronological order. One prophetic word said, there is a lock I put over a word in the book of Revelation I'm going to open unto you. It will turn many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. It's called The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. So what if you had to tell a person the most important thing in the world, but you knew they're probably not going to believe you? Well, if you're listening to this, I believe you'd probably still tell them. Well, the most important thing to do is to receive Jesus. But the most important information is to not take the mark of the beast, because those people taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but they're tossed into eternal torment in hell without any possibility of escape. We put it into a book, Miss the Mark, Don't Take the Mark of the Beast, a simple book to give to people. If they read, they will never take the mark of the beast. Countless people are believing that they're not going to see any trouble of the tribulation. They're going to go in a rapture, which is a misunderstanding. So God had me write a book called How Pre-Trib Won. It explains how the Christian church was so snookered into believing a misunderstanding like this, and it helps them through scriptures to see the truth that there is not going to be a pre-trib, mid-trib, or pre-wrath rapture. No one is going any place to escape any testing. It's called How Pre-Trib Won. Then, the book of Daniel, most people agree, is probably the most difficult book in the Bible to understand. So I wrote a book called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, which gives this last generation the explanation and the parts of Daniel that they need to endure the tribulation. Pure and simple, it takes Daniel and makes it easy to understand. It's called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel. As you know, many of the broadcasts have referred to a list of dreams, visions, and audible voices from people like Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruver, and others. We put together a special radio offer. You can get 10 How Pre-Trib Won, 10 Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, 10 Miss the Mark, 5 Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, 5 God's Warnings to America, totaling 40 books valued at $800 for a gift of just $100 at prophecyclub.com. That's 40 books valued at $800 for a gift of just $100 at prophecyclub.com. prophecyclub.com. Click like, share, and subscribe. Click like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend.